my name is Chris Maggard. I'm going to go ahead and be your host today, and I have Billy Catcham, who is going to be my co-host and help us out today. And then we have Lori, who is our moderator. So during this presentation, if you guys have any questions at any time, please feel free to chat those in, and we'll do our best to answer all of them for you. If there is a really good question, Lori, feel free to interrupt and go ahead and go live with that question. And then if for some reason we do not answer your question, we will make sure we get back to you either by a phone call from your trainer and or via email. If you guys could all do us a favor and please make sure, if you have not done so already, go ahead and chat in your name and what shop you are with. Therefore, if you do have a question and we need to get back to you later, we can do so. Billy, once you are on, if you can confirm everything is good, that would be great. If not, we're going to go ahead and get started. During today's breakout, we will discuss the best practices for service advisors. What we're going to focus on here is that we are going to show you guys or discuss how you can apply the Amazon rule, how you can increase your motorist research time, the recipe to increase your average repair order, weekly revenue, and then lastly, how you guys can make decisions based on data-driven guidance. So we're going to go ahead and get started. And again, if you have any questions, feel free to go ahead and chat those in. Now, first and foremost, with AutoVitals digital inspections, we free your service advisor and technicians up to do what they do best, allowing your customers to feel more comfortable and control over the repairs that are needed. With a couple taps and pictures and videos that you can send directly to your customers' phones in the way that they can be used to receive information. You'll hear us talk about this very frequently, and it's something that we do often here as trainers, is we talk about how important pictures are for you guys. Pictures are worth 1,000 words, right? But also for consumers, seeing is believing. So seeing the actual work that is needed to be done is so powerful, it generally will lead to work being approved and approved more quickly. So in addition to pictures being worth 1,000 words, at some point they're also worth $1,000. Now, one of the things I want to take a second and look at here, if we have Billy online, is I wanted to ask Billy, if when you first started doing digital inspections, how did your motorists react to pictures, and what success did you feel it presented your shop? Let's go ahead and take that to the crowd. If you guys can do me a favor and go ahead and chat in. When you first started the digital inspection process, please let me know how you feel your customers reacted to pictures and what success you feel it presented your shop. Now, in this example, what we're going to look at first is an example of two pictures. One that will show you has no edits and the other one that has edits. The picture on the right not only has circles and arrows to create an impact for your motorist, but also it will list cause, concern, and correction. For those of you that are taking pictures and editing photos and simply just using circles and arrows, I definitely am going to encourage you. One way to really engage your customers to get them to educate themselves more and have these pictures speak to what I say your 6-year-old or the layman is to make sure you're stipulating the cause, the concern, and the correction. What you can see here is that when you edit your pictures and you add those 3 C's I talked about, it has a proven fact that your customer will spend more time reviewing their inspection results. In addition to that, you're going to see a higher approval. Now, if you view the picture on the right-hand side, on the left-hand side, the technician took a really great picture. So we talk about making sure your technicians are taking really great pictures, but a great picture generally will have no impact on your customer because they're not the professionals and they don't understand what they might be seeing. So we want to make sure, again, when you're taking these pictures, that we're taking a couple minutes to edit our pictures and also make sure that these pictures are speaking to the 6-year-old. What you'll find is when you do not edit a photo, you'll see, as you can see on the screen here, the average motorist research time is below our baseline, which we want to make sure your customers are spending 240 to 300 seconds, which means they're spending about 4 to 5 minutes on average reviewing their inspection results. So again, lower, no edits equals lower research time, lower approval rate. Now, what I want to do here is I'm going to take a couple minutes to talk about the traditional beliefs. Generally, what we found in the past is a traditional belief is when technician completes an inspection, service advisor gets alerted of that right away. They send out the inspection and they immediately pick up the phone and call the customer. When you do this, what we find is that this creates sales pressure, and it also leaves your your service advisor handcuffed to the phone. Amazon has conditioned us to do our own research when sales pressures is applied. It makes us feel a little bit awkward, and generally consumers approve less. Even dealing with a seasoned service advisor, you cannot rely on the same practice that you've applied over the many years. Allowing your motorist to buy and not be sold will always increase approvals, which is why we recommend you apply the Amazon rule. Hey, Lori, do we have Billy in here yet?
I'm not seeing Billy in here just yet. I know the link was sent to him. He was just having a little bit of struggles getting in.
No worries, guys. We're just going to keep moving forward. I apologize. Billy will be in as soon as he can get connected to the webinar. Question for you guys in the audience is, what would be really cool is if you guys could chat in. If you guys have applied what we call as the Amazon rule, and I'm going to cover that here in a moment for you, what challenges you may have faced and how you had overcome them as a staff. So one of the things I want you guys to start considering is, instead of the traditional belief, try applying the Amazon rule. The Amazon rule is to spend time editing your pictures, send the inspection results to your motorist, and wait 20 minutes to receive the buying call from the customer. You can track the buying time and the interaction on the tile. For those of you that we are coming out with a new Today's Vehicle page, it's called a TVPX. Right here is kind of a preview of what that tile looks like. On the tile, what you'll see here is your counter. For those of you that are currently using our old platform, until the release comes, you guys will see a telephone with a magnifying glass that will fill up completely in orange with a telephone, which will be your timer. You can also see on the tile, once your motorist opens up, how long they've been spending reviewing their inspection results. So just as a preview for you, this will be your new timer on the new Today's Vehicle page. And right here, this will show you how long your customer has been engaging in their inspection results. Hey, Billy, are you there? All right, we're going to keep on going. Sorry, guys. Now, if you provide a great inspection that speaks to the 6 rule that includes picture edited and apply the 3 C's, cause, concern, correction, what we find is about 60% or more of your motorists will call you within 20 minutes to ask the buying questions. Generally, those questions are, how long is it going to take? How much is it going to cost? One of the things I want you guys to consider, time is of the essence. We are all busy. Sometimes we feel like editing photos creates an additional task. What I want you to know and kind of keep in mind is, it might take you 5 minutes or so to edit your inspection. However, it's going to save you 7 to 10 minutes or longer on that phone call to get the approval. Okay? Taking 5 minutes to edit a picture actually will save you 7 to 10 minutes in a call to get the approval. What I want to do here is I want to show you guys kind of how the Amazon rule truly makes a difference for your shop. In these graphs, you will see the amazing results by changing your behavior and just simply applying the Amazon rule. In this graph, what you see here is Travis applies the Amazon rule and David did not. He continued with the traditional beliefs. Travis's average weekly revenue is $4,500 more than David's. In addition to that, his arrow was $93 more. So what you can see is David has an average research time of 249 seconds. We have Travis at 571. So keep in mind, they're both editing photos. They're very close. They're within 4% of each other. However, David is applying what we call a sales pressure by contacting the customer immediately and not allowing them to educate themselves to be in that buying seat. And Travis is doing the opposite. He's allowing that 20-minute time frame to help his customers, educate them, put them in the seat to want to buy, and giving that buying call. Billy, I want to take time right now to talk to you about how often are you tracking and measuring your shop's results using the business control panel, and how often do you share those results with your staff?
So we track it weekly to kind of just make sure that we're staying true to our principles of making sure that our edit rate is high and that our inspection rate scent level is high. And then what we're trying to do as well is we're trying to share that information with our technicians. I'm going to say we try and do it weekly. The truth is we probably have it every 2 weeks, with circumstances being what they are. But the importance of that is because without good quality pictures from your techs, you're not going to keep that. You can't keep the engagement level to the customer for that research time to be high. So it's very important that your techs understand that they're partly responsible for helping you to keep that research time high, which is going to keep the ARO higher as you progress moving forward.
And Billy, when you say having the tech help, and I agree, having the technician help do some edits definitely assists not only the motorist, but also for the service advisor that might not understand what that picture is that the technician took. If you were to have a conversation with your technicians and you're asking them to help edit, what pictures or what information do you ask them to apply for those edits?
Sure. So in our case, I don't want the techs directly communicating with the consumer. So what I'll have my techs do is for shop eyes only area, when they're taking a picture, if it's not blatantly obvious what we're trying to describe, they need to give the service advisor, in this case myself, just a heads up. Hey, what are you trying to convey here with this picture, so that I can put it into simple words that the consumer is going to be able to understand and take that information and use it to educate themselves. Because if we just show a picture of a auction sensor voltage sweep test, that's not going to relate anything to the consumer. I have to actually put what they're looking at into descriptive terms that they'll be able to understand. So your technicians, if you're not allowing your technicians, well, not if you're not allowing, but you just need to make sure your technicians are giving notes that whatever service writer you have, if they're not familiar with what they're viewing, give some type of information so that they can make that information simple enough that your customer is going to be able to understand it.
Perfect. And generally, some of the things that I talk to the shops that I train about with technicians is when they're taking a picture of something that has seepage, leakage, cracks, I do definitely recommend that they're taking that arrow and they're moving the arrow to the area where there is seepage, leakage, and cracks. That's right. Going to help the motorist, but also the service advisor see where the area of concern might be. So definitely we want your advisor spending the good majority of the time editing their photos and creating, the caption, the cause, concern, correction, but also make sure you're having your technicians help edit areas that might be hard for the motorist as well as the advisor to understand where the concern might be.
Right. And one of our, quickly, just to piggyback what you just said there, Chris, our hard and fast rule for our techs is if you're trying to demonstrate movement or noise, use the video feature. When you said seepage, a coolant dripping from a radiator hose, yeah, you could take that picture, but if you take a 20-second video or a 10-second video of that drop happening, there's absolutely no question.
Absolutely. Good stuff. Thanks, Billy. So what we're going to do now is we're going to cover parts of how you can achieve success and what best practices you can incorporate into your standard operating procedures. Some of the best practices that we're going to discuss, you can see here on the screen: setting right expectations at drop-off, making sure you're putting the right information in there that we've talked about a little bit here, to allow your inspections to tell the right story, and using that Amazon rule. So first thing we're going to look at here is making sure you guys are always educating your customers on what's going to happen next. So a couple things is before drop off, make sure your existing customers are aware they're going to receive a service reminder. Excuse me, an appointment reminder. The appointment reminder is going to reinforce the last conversation you had with their motorist. Also, making sure we talk about pictures, and I can't express it enough. What you have here is a sample. We're going to pick up the recommendations that are from the inspection sheet and your point of sale system. If you're recommending in this example that your brakes, right? We're recommending that the next time they come for future attention, they need to have their brakes completed. You need to make sure your pictures are there again to reinstill the previous message that you had spoke to your customer about when they left. A couple other things you want to make sure you do is take a few minutes to really properly educate your new customers. Always, never take shortcuts. When you're taking shortcuts with customers because we might be busy, especially new customers, you might lose that customer. Your first impression and the first visit is really crucial to getting that customer to come back in. Please do not take any shortcuts with new customers. Make sure that you advise them what they're going to be receiving and when their next visit is due. Even better, exit schedule. Don't be afraid to exit schedule. They're going to get reminders. If it doesn't work for them, they can always call you and reschedule that meeting. And then lastly, what is even better, if you guys are on our Digital Shop Talk Facebook forum, a lot of what you'll see is there's been a couple shops that have created short videos about the digital inspection process in their shop. If you haven't done so yet, go ahead and check it out. Go on the Facebook forum and look for a couple of those short videos examples and be creative and make one for your staff, for your motorist. The more you can educate them, the more you can brand them to do what you want, the better experience for your motorist. Billy, one of the things I want you to start off with, if you don't mind, is can you cover what you guys do at the counter at drop-off for your motorist?
Sure. So our standard practice and procedure is to just, obviously welcome the customer, especially on a first time, and let them know that they're going to be receiving a series of text messages from us. The first being just a welcome to Aram's Auto, and that the car is checked in. So just remind them that there's nothing to respond to on that first text message. And then in our shop, they also will receive a notification when there's a change in status. So I make them very aware that as soon as their car's been dispatched to a technician, they're going to receive a second text message, but that there's no information yet. It's just been started on. It's no longer waiting to be looked at. It's now actively being looked at. So there's nothing to respond to there. And then I drive home the fact that the third text message they're going to receive is going to have some information related to their primary concern, as well as that courtesy inspection that we're going to perform, where we're going to check a series of conditions on their vehicle, belts, hoses, fluid levels, to kind of give them overall health inspection of their vehicle. So I'm setting them up to understand that we're not only going to address the brake noise that they're dropping the car off for per se, but that while we have it, we're going to do a complete and thorough kind of investigation, if you will, and do a general health inspection on their vehicle. And we're going to set some pictures in place and possibly even some videos if there needs be, so that way they understand that when they get that third piece of information, that it's going to have some pictures and or videos related to it, and that I need to take the time to go through that inspection to kind of understand what we're going to need to be what we're going to be discussing when they call back.
Perfect. Thank you. So just to kind of add on to what Billy said, is when he talks about the messages to his customers, those are called workflow notifications. If you're not familiar with workflow notifications, please get with your trainer and let's talk about how you can align your customers. You can eliminate some stress they have, right? Anxiety, we have their vehicle, they want information, and also prevent phone calls, right? If we properly align the motorist, if we are educating them and keeping them informed of what's going on with their vehicle while their vehicle's at the shop, the more we keep them informed, the less phone calls we have, the more estimates your advisor can create, the more sales opportunities. So a couple things to keep in mind. At drop-off, always make sure you align your motorist. We do have a recommended drop-off script that you guys can use to create consistency and make sure everybody's following the same process. The one thing you never want to have, in my opinion, is a breakdown of consistency from visit to visit. Inconsistencies, because maybe we had more time today and the next visit where we have less time, inconsistencies can absolutely cause your customers to not come back. So work with your staff on creating a drop-off process with consistency that everybody follows. Lori will do us a favor and please put the drop-off process in the chat so folks can access that if you guys would like to look at our recommended drop-off process. Couple other things to do at drop-off, which Billy mentioned. Make sure that for brand new customers or for any existing customers that have not been open to your digital inspection process yet, show them a sample of the inspection sheet by having a laminated copy on your counter, or even better yet, bookmarking a copy of a great inspection that will show them what you're going to be sending them. Make sure you tell them that there's going to be pictures and videos for them to look at during that inspection sheet. And then also one really important thing is let's eliminate as much chasing as possible. Tell your customers you're going to send them a digital copy of the inspection sheet. Find out their preferred delivery method, email, text, or both. Collect or verify what they tell you. And then ask them to review the inspection sheet and call you if they have any questions. If not, you will give them a call.
Chris, can I make a recommendation there?
Absolutely.
So this has been our policy, and it's been very successful, especially on new customers. We have an additional iPad that we've done a shop inspection, a digital inspection on our shop courtesy vehicle. That inspection stays loaded on that iPad. So what we'll do is we'll physically hand the consumer, while they're standing at the counter, that iPad and let them interface that inspection, so that they can see what they're going to be getting in regards to their car. So it kind of takes that overwhelming impact off of them, because they've already seen it once by the time they see it on their physical phone or in their email. So it's just
Perfect.
a little tip that we've tried, and it seems to be working very well with our first-time customers.
Love it. Love it. Thank you. So we're going to move forward. Great inspection results include pictures and notes, like you guys have heard me say, that speak to the 6-year-old. And this is where your customer will start to educate themselves. Implementing a picture policy, in my opinion, and I believe everybody here in our best practice, is absolutely a must. Telling your technicians to take more pictures generally will not help you gain approval. They could take more pictures of the sky, or take pictures of things that are just not relevant, right? But they took more pictures because you asked them to. So instead of asking them to take more pictures, create an actual policy and implement it in your shop. Hold a meeting and discuss what pictures they should take to create an impact and increase your approval. Remember, don't always focus on the bad pictures. You want to make sure you're incorporating pictures of items that are good. They are just as important. Taking pictures of items that are good will build value in the vehicle and allow your motorist to invest with your shop and not the dealer. In addition, you should focus on making sure there's quality, not quantity. Yes, you need to have a good amount of pictures. You need your CYA, you need photos of good and bad. Generally, a good inspection will have a minimum of 10 to 15 pictures. So again, make sure that you guys are incorporating that picture policy. And then Lori, if you haven't had an opportunity to do so yet, please make sure you put in our recommended picture policy in the chat. And then also for anyone that wants to look at this information on your own or hasn't had the ability of grabbing the links yet, you can go to help.autovitals.com. You can search in a keyword. So for example, picture policy, and you'll be able to access that policy directly through our help knowledge base site. So what we want to do here for a minute is I want to take a second to go through how you can apply quick wins in your shop to create a consistency between technicians and increasing approval. So Billy, one of the things I want to ask you is, can you share with us the dollar benefit you've received when implementing a quick wins process in your shop?
Sure. So the one you have in the picture is just a simple test, brake fluid moisture test. It's going to quickly indicate the condition that needs to be corrected. In this case, for us, this is almost $130 procedure between parts and labor. So just this one picture alone could instantly increase your ARO for this particular vehicle, and anywhere from $80 to $100 depending on what you charge. And in this case, for us, it's closer to $130. And this picture, with just some notes that you have on that bottom of that picture, creates a condition where the consumer, and I usually hook a video to this as well. So when they go into the recommended actions, they can watch a video as to why brake fluid moisture content is important.
Perfect. So for those of you that are not aware of what our quick win process is, take time, hold a shop meeting, pick a topic: filters, brake moisture tests, alignments. Every vehicle that comes in gets inspected. There is a picture taken that will show the results, whether good or bad. Make sure you document with a caption, as you see in this example here. Even if you're using test strips, and instead of utilizing the moisture test, they can still tell a story, right? So everybody checks the item, all technicians. We take our pictures and we properly document it. What you're doing is you're creating a quick win. You're going to increase your approval. Once you get the buy-in from your techs and they start to see if they take the right pictures, we have the right photo edits, we send it to our customers so they easily understand it. What's going to happen is ARO is going to increase, as well as technicians' billable hours. So we're going to quickly go through another example. Here's tire wear, right? Again, taking good pictures with the right edits, utilizing the captions, cause, concerns, corrections is going to increase your approval. If you need more information on that quick wins process, please take some time to get with your trainer, or Bill, I know that you're in here. Are you still applying that quick wins webinar every Thursday at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time?
We will be going back to that as soon as we get through a few other things that we're working on, but the answer is yes, and let your trainer know, and we can certainly go ahead and get it on a calendar as much as needed.
Perfect. Thank you for that. You guys stay tuned. We did hold a quick wins webinar that would teach you guys that process to implement in your shop. Like Bill said, we will start that again. Get with your trainer in the meantime for additional assistance. What we're going to do now is we're going to take a few minutes to go through and review a few things that you guys should apply in your shop in order to increase your approval rate and also better educate your customers. Number one is make sure you're applying the Amazon rule. Saving time makes you money. The more time your motorist spends reviewing the inspection sheet, guarantee you the higher the approval, your ARO is going to increase. Make sure you're applying the best practices and quick wins, again, to increase your ARO and weekly revenue. And then make sure you guys are taking the time to review your business control panel to track and measure results. Right? This is where you have the ability for the first time to really make data-driven decisions based on actual results. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to take a few minutes of things that maybe we shouldn't do, a few don'ts. Do not send the inspection and call the customer immediately, even if we're busy. Like we've talked about, it's going to apply sales pressure. Do not fall back into traditional beliefs. This will leave your advisor handcuffed to the phone and decrease your approval rate. Instead, apply the Amazon rule. Make sure you're editing your pictures. Do not forget to send your inspections. As a trainer, it's a hard thing, and what I see is when we're doing our reviews and our calls, a lot of times we'll see inspection rate high, sent rate is low. Make sure you're editing your pictures, you're sending your inspections, get those into the hands of the customer so they're willing and ready to buy versus feeling that sales pressure. Once you send it, wait. Watch the timer. Once it hits 20 minutes, if your customer has not made that buying call, at that time, please pick up the phone and call your customer.
Chris,
Yes.
if I could just encourage people, as you're watching that timer, if you get to the 10-minute mark or the 15-minute mark and you haven't seen that they've opened it, I would encourage you or your service advisor to send them a follow-up text message through the chat portion of the software, and just remind them that you sent them a copy of an inspection, to please take a few minutes at their convenience and to call you, because sometimes they need that little bit of promotion or pushing, if you will, to get them to open it.
Question for you, Billy, would be, once you send that follow-up text and reminder, how long do you wait?
It kind of depends. I mean, I'll give it the rest of the 20 minutes if I send it at the 10-minute mark, because now I've waited 10 minutes. I've encouraged them at the 10-minute mark, and now we're to 20 minutes. I might go ahead and make that call. But definitely what you don't want to do is, if you see that you sent that and they haven't opened it, don't take the call. I can't express to you enough. Just encourage them to go back and look at that, because that you spent time using that tool. They need to use that tool to educate themselves on what you're going to be discussing in that phone call.
Absolutely. And keep in mind, the better you align and educate your customer at drop-off, the more likely they are to follow your process. I'm pretty sure all of us have experienced this. When you don't tell them you're going to send them an inspection or educate them, the phone calls turn into, oh, you sent me something, what's up? Right? Instead, we want them to call you and say, okay, I see my transmission fluid is black. It should be pink. How long is it going to take? How much is it going to cost? Right? So aligning your customer is one of the most important things you guys can do for them, again, for you to brand them to do exactly what you want them to do. If you're not aligning them, don't expect them to follow your process. So a couple things that we want you to think about. If implementing everything we talked about, the Amazon rule, is challenging, try doing the following. Holding weekly meetings and focus on 2 topics, right? Quick wins. Maybe we want to focus on brake tests and alignments, right? Maybe we want to focus on one quick win, and we want to focus on making sure we properly edit and add our captions. Allowing your tech and your service advisors, or excuse me, if you're struggling with this process, allow your technician to watch your advisor sell with pictures. It's a beautiful thing, and it gets some value and some buy-in for your technician. Apply those quick wins and use a specific CAN job that can be tracked and measured, and you're going to track and measure that through the business control panel.
Chris, we have a question coming in from Thomas.
Mm-hmm.
How are the service advisors notified via, or can they get a notification via text when the time has expired?
No.
I know there's a visual.
There is a visual. Currently, there is no alert. You might want to put a feature request out on Facebook. However, one of the things that if you guys when you send out a copy of the inspection, if you're ever curious how long it's been, if it's within the 20 minutes, put your mouse into the magnifying glass, hover over it, it will tell you. But currently, no, there is no notification sent to the advisor. The only thing you have is that visual. Magnifying glass is completely orange with a telephone. So a couple samples for insights for motorist research time. When you can see here, the Amazon rule has been applied. Research time, 353 seconds. You guys, if you're not familiar with how long 353 seconds is, that's 5 minutes and 53 seconds. That's a great amount of time. Another thing that you can track and measure is photo editing, right? Both pictures and research time correlate, and then also looking at the number of recommendations. What you'll start to see is how your behavior as a service advisor is going to correlate and drive your ARO. Recipe for a higher ARO, making sure that you're incorporating, again, those quick wins. Track and measure your motorist engagement. You can track and measure, again, by using the business control panel. If you're currently not using the business control panel, if you need training on that, make sure that you ask your trainer, your advisor, or go to help.autovitals.com and look up information. I believe there's a webinar out there that will give you more training on how to use the business control panel to track and measure. Compare your techs, right? You can do comparisons on the business control panel. One other really good thing is if you're having trouble with consistencies, have every single tech inspect the same exact vehicle once a month. Have the service advisor estimate every single item that's on each one of those inspections. I will tell you, I do this with a lot of my shops, and believe it or not, From tech to tech, the highest discrepancy we've seen so far is $1,600. That's huge. That means that's $1,600 potential in lost revenue from one tech to the next by having inconsistencies in the shop. And then perform inspection audits for both your technician and your advisor. Technicians, we know what their job is, good, thorough inspection sheets, making sure they have the right pictures. Now, are your advisors editing those pictures? Are they sending those inspections? Do your audits. Start making sure that you're fine-tuning your process as you're going through it. Couple things that I wanted to wrap up with is making sure that you guys are applying what you've learning today and start reaping those rewards. Set the right expectations, making sure you have consistency with your drop-off process, great inspections, and applying that Amazon rule. So what we're going to do here is we're going to take the last 10 minutes and we're going to open it up for questions and answers. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to get started. So what I want to do is have everybody kind of look at this image that you see right here. We have service advisor and we have motorist. And keep in mind, the motorist is a little old, right? And I bring this up because one of the number one things I hear is assumptions, which is the customer's old, she doesn't have email, they don't have a cell phone. That's absolutely false. They have a lot of time on their hands. They could probably use that smartphone better than me. So what I want to do is let's start this off by chatting in. What do you see in this image? First thing I'm going to kick it off with you guys is, do you recommend sending inspections to waiters? Absolutely. Billy, can you go ahead and chime in as to why it is important to send an inspection even if they're waiting in your lobby?
Yes. Number one, you at least in California where I'm at, it's not completely viable to walk them out into the shop and show them the underhood of their vehicle. That's kind of why we're doing this process to begin with, is so that we can give them that same type of courtesy. Well, now they're waiting in the shop, but you still don't want to walk them out to the car. You've got liability issues, insurance issues, what have you. So it's still very important to send them that inspection. Not only that, our inspection sheet has a lot of videos. So while they're sitting there, they may start to ask questions, but it's easy enough to just defer that question. I'm in the process of building your estimate, give me a few minutes, and they'll still go look at it. And you can watch that they're looking at it because you're watching that timer. So you know that they're physically putting in some effort to be educated as to what you're going to be talking about, even if there's only 10 feet away from you. So you still have to send the inspection.
Absolutely. What about when there's some declined services? If we don't send the inspection to the motorist, how are they going to re-educate themselves and look back at that inspection sheet, right? Correct. So we want to make sure we give them the opportunity to educate themselves. Couple things is they can reference back to declined services and be prepared to potentially approve that job at the next visit. Secondly, it allows them to provide a record for Carfax, right? When they're selling their vehicle, they have the ability to show them how well they've maintained that vehicle and the value, so they get top dollar for the car, possibly for insurance claims.
To address what you said about this being an elderly customer, yes, this person may not want to choose to do that, but I would encourage you as a service writer, if you get that customer who says, oh, I don't do technology, I just have a home phone number, you can still, somebody in that family, whether it be a son, a daughter, a grandchild, somebody that person trusts implicitly, try and get that information so you can get this inspection to that person to gain that trust from them.
Absolutely. Another question for you, Billy, would be, or a question that just came in, do you recommend pulling the inspection up on the computer when you have a waiter, or allowing the motorist to drive and you answer those questions?
So I typically try and defer it to them using their cell phone. But in our case, we also have like a 60-inch monitor that's a TV that I can Chromecast to. So if I'm not getting the interaction with them through their phone, I'll typically stop the TV from playing and then Chromecast it to their inspection, and we'll physically go through it right there in front of them. And there's no questions because they got 60 inches of TV to view it on.
Perfect, perfect. Hey, Bill, any last questions or anything you want to add on today?
No, the only thing that I encourage shops to do is when they get a customer that has that wow experience, when they receive the inspection results and they tell you about it, tell them, great, we thank you for doing that. But what we'd really like you to do is, could you go ahead and forward that link to a friend or coworker and let them know this is the type of experience you can get at my shop.
Great advice. Great advice. The best thing that happens is this person opens that inspection at work and a coworker sees it, because you'll get that phone call. Hey, I got a referral from so-and-so. I really like the way you guys are honest and show pictures and you're transparent. That I hate that word anymore, but it is what people bank on anymore. They want to see that they're feeling that you're being honest with them.
Right, and believe it or not, transparency is the new currency, right?